What conspiracy theories do you think are too logical to ignore? This one isn't as serious as most of the ones on here, but I enjoy it and have gotten into many a convo about it. In the 2017 NBA playoffs, a player named Markieff Morris, who at the time played for the Washington Wizards, hurt his ankle in Game 1. This was only 11 minutes into the game and he didn't return. The injury looked like he would be out for a couple weeks and no one expected him to play Game 2. But, he showed up Game 2 and played as if he was never injured, in fact, had his best game statistically of the playoffs to that point. Here's where it gets interesting. Markieff Morris has an identical twin brother named Marcus who also plays in the NBA. His brother was playing for the Pistons, who were eliminated from the playoffs already. The theory is that Marcus played for his brother. Both brothers have the exact same tattoos and don't have any super apparent different traits. 1. Kennedy gets elected. 2. Kennedy is critical of the CIA, his own VP and military for wanting to turn the Cold War into a hot one and the willingness to perform false flag operations, Project Northwoods, to do it. 3. Kennedy is shot. 4. His VP takes power. 5. Classified. So my dad actually confirmed a popular Reddit conspiracy theory. I told him about the laundry detergent caps have the full line too high on purpose, and he told me this was true. He interned at P&G, and they taught him the full line was for the highest level of cleanliness our product can give. You can get away with using much less detergent. David Miscavige, the chairman of the Church of Scientology, definitely murdered his wife and is getting off scot-free for it. Him and his wife got into a pretty heated argument in 2007, and she hasn't been seen since. Lawyers hired by David claim she is still alive and devotes 100% of her time to work at the Church of Scientology, which is why she hasn't been seen since August 2007. In 2013, a former member of the church had filed a missing person report that was closed after a few officers had spoken and seen Mrs. Miscavige, even though there's no evidence whatsoever of this meeting. All missing persons reports now are turned down since this investigation is forever closed. This one is small and local but still too insane to ignore and just came up today. Just recently, our small suburban town's favorite gas station went out of business. Everyone went there. The guy who ran it was the mayor. He retires and sells the property after an issue with the ground underneath the gas pumps. They tear down the gas pumps and keep the garage. Mavis Tire bought the property and opened a new store. A few days after the Mavis opens, someone posts a picture on Facebook of an intersection at a road near it with nails all over the road. The guy there oozes that a box of nails fell off of a construction truck. The police come clean it up and it seems all is well. Fast forward a few days later and people are commenting on the post that they're finding nails in their car tires. Not just from that intersection. People jokingly say maybe it was the new Mavis guys throwing nails around, but nothing really happens. Several weeks later, people have been posting day in and day out pictures of nails in their car tires. My dad took my car into the Mavis in question about 3 weeks ago and they found a nail inside of the right front tire. I noticed that it was driving sort of funny, but never that my tire was on the verge of exploding. I jokingly said people have been saying you guys have just been going around throwing nails all over the place, trying not to laugh at how insane it sounded to say out loud. The guy behind the counter said nothing but yeah with a weird smirk. Over 50 people have posted on the town Facebook that their cars have had nails in their tires. My mom is driving my car now because her car has a nail in the tire. It's been almost 3 months. I'll post updates if anyone is interested. U.S. intelligence conducting organized blackmail operations out of Epsteins Island. The prosecutor handling Epstein's old case was told to back off and go easy because Epstein was intelligence. Acosta's departure from the administration confirmed that this was not just a rumor. So as an American, I would really like to know exactly who was blackmailing who, how far it extended, and what political decisions were affected. Our phones and or the apps on them are listening to conversation. I'm super anti-conspiracy theory, but this has happened to me way too many times in the last 2 years. I impulse shop really badly. I carry cash for the explicit purpose of I can use this guilt-free for an impulse purchase. 2 years ago I bought high-end lipstick with cash in a store after doing zero research on the brand. Next day I had ads for it despite never even previously hearing of that company before. I had only talked with a sales associate about the brand for a while. 6 months later a very similar thing happened when I switched hair care products to very specific brand. Later that night I had ads for their company which I had never heard of or looked up pre or post purchase. 8 months ago I ordered a cider I had never heard of at a bar in NYC. Didn't research the company or anything about it. Not even 2 hours after I left the restaurant I had ads for that brand of cider on my Facebook. There's easily 5 to 7 more times I could think of, but these are the ones that bother me the most because I am positive the transactions were all in cash. I had never looked up the product before, and I had very targeted specific ads from those exact companies less than a day later on most of my social media. Jamie Lynn Spears, Miranda Cosgrove, Victoria Justice, etc. were raped by Dan Schneider. Nickelodeon let him get away with a lot. There's so many feet jokes in all those shows. A lot of the interviews with those cast members get really awkward when they're around Dan. If you got to pursue your dream career when you really wanted it, wouldn't you do just about anything? If you made Dan Schneider mad, your career would be ruined and your dreams would be over. Edit. I do admit rape is a strong allegation, but he is at least really creepy with the feet jokes. At the very least he is a pedophile with sexual attraction toward his female stars. New Coke was a way for Coca-Cola to switch from real sugar to corn syrup without people noticing. Switch to the new formula that everyone hates, keep it for a while so that people demand the old one back, then switch it back after enough time has passed that people wouldn't notice the relatively subtle change. Saturated fats and cholesterol aren't particularly bad for you, but a very politically aggressive and ethically deficient scientist named Ancel Keys staked his career on the idea that they were. Published studies with egregiously poor methodology. In his landmark 7 countries study, he specifically picked those countries which best supported his aims while ignoring those countries that didn't, and waged a very aggressive campaign to destroy the careers of detractors, famously Dr. John Yudkin, who wrote Pure, White and Deadly, a book on the dangers of dietary sugar. Today, scientific nutritional authorities continue to drag their feet on revising the conventional medical wisdom due to the erosion to their own authority that this would represent. Ancel Keys was more singularly responsible for obesity in the US than any other person. I saw once that the Titanic that sank wasn't actually the Titanic but a very convoluted plan to cash out insurance from the damaged RMS Olympic, and that the Titanic retired in April 1935 under the name of RMS Olympic. Can't find the article I read it on, but it kinda makes sense, had pictures of the hull and some signature features that made it very convincing. Princess Diana car crash wasn't accidental. I truly believe P. Philip hired someone to get rid of her, and have a feeling that when Elizabeth and Charles die, some very secret conversations, emails etc. will come out. Madeleine McCann was accidentally killed by her parents. I don't believe they intended to do it, but I do believe they covered it up, and once the press etc. arrived they seen an opportunity to make money out of the situation. That we're being listened to at all times. My phone hears me when I say "Hey Siri" and activates Siri. Same with my Google Home. They'd have to be listening at all times to hear that, right? Also, Spotify did a deal where if you have Spotify Premium, you get a free Google Home. There are also deals on them frequently, which makes it seem as though they are trying to get them in as many households as possible. The Death Star destruction was an inside job. What's a simpler explanation, that a single squadron of X-Wing fighters has penetrated a moon-sized heavily protected battle station, hit a tiny duct with a torpedo without aim by a rookie pilot, something said to be impossible by an experienced fighter pilot, using the Force? Or was it an inside job? The highest-ranking officer on the Death Star was Darth Vader, who is also the father of Luke Skywalker, the pilot who allegedly destroyed the Death Star. Although being highest in command, Darth has took a TIE fighter to pilot himself to fend off the attack. As the TIE fighter pilot was ready to shoot Luke's X-Wing, the pilot was ordered to stand down by Darth so he can kill Luke himself, a task Darth failed to do. Was Darth protecting his son? Or was it part of something much bigger? Conveniently, Darth was out of the Death Star when it was destroyed. Also, all of the other rebel pilots got killed during this attack. The plans of the Death Star and its vulnerabilities were delivered by the hands of Princess Leia of the Resistance and the daughter of Darth Vader himself. Using droids that were built by Darth Vader himself. Princess Leia was on the bridge of the Death Star when the planet that she was the princess of was destroyed by said Death Star. So, what makes more sense? That a farm boy without military training somehow destroys the most powerful battle station ever made in the galaxy? Or that the destruction of the Death Star was orchestrated by the Skywalker family, was an inside job? That there were 2 bullets that hit JFK on the fateful day of his assassination. But one of them was an accident by one of the Secret Service. I heard this theory on a cracked podcast on YouTube. Story goes like this. Oswald was the only man out to harm JFK, but his bullet did not kill him. It severed his spinal cord, which would have left him a vegetable. But there are photos of one of the Secret Servicemen looking behind him and lowering his gun. His finger accidentally pushed the trigger and his shot was what killed JFK. That's why the government was so secretive with JFK's body and autopsy. They covered it up so the Secret Serviceman wasn't sent death threats and had his life ruined. There's extra evidence too. The night of the assassination, LBJ was walking around the outside of the White House and spooked another Secret Serviceman, and he was almost shot as well. When speaking about it, he made a joke that all the Secret Service had itchy trigger fingers. Robert Carr retook the bar exam after not practicing law for years just to join O.J. Simpson's legal team. He was also seen taking a bag of O.J. when he got off the plane. The theory goes that the bag contained evidence like the murder weapon or bloody clothes, and Carr joined the legal team so he couldn't be called to testify. I don't deserve these upvotes. The bag thing wouldn't have been protected by attorney-client privilege, and Carr could still be called even if O.J.'s his client. 9/11 was allowed to happen so the government could go ahead with political agendas that would have been very unpopular otherwise. There were all kinds of advanced warnings that an attack was imminent, yet they were ignored. The attack allowed for the invasion and never-ending occupation of the Middle East, as well as the Patriot Act that allows for increased spying by the government, and was passed only about a month after 9/11. There's no Illuminati that controls the world with virgin sacrifices, or secret handshakes and shit. No, the way I see it, the truth is far more mundane. The richest 50 to 100 people on each continent or geographical area get together every so often and decide collectively and separately who does what, where and when, which government will do such and such, and so on. Money makes the world go around. Stands to reason that wealth pulls the real strings in the world. I mean, I don't sit about and obsess about this, I have shit to do. But it wouldn't surprise me at all. Check out the Bilderberg Group. Not exactly a conspiracy, it's just not common knowledge. BPA is still finding its way into our daily lives. BPA can mimic and disrupt certain hormones, estrogen for one, which can cause numerous issues in the body as well as reducing men's sperm quality and therefore fertility. BPA has been removed from most food products. But if a product is marked BPA-free, it more than likely contains BPS, a substitute for BPA that hasn't been studied as well as BPA. So it could be better, equal to, or worse than BPA. We just don't know yet. Secondly, the most common place for BPA is the lining of food cans. That's right. Any kind of canned vegetable or soup is lined with BPA, which gets absorbed into the food and is worse with foods that are highly acidic. It's also found in electronics, which leach it into the air upon use, as well as various other daily items, plastic utensils for one. So stick to metal or glass food products. Edit, almost forgot. Another common method is receipts. The thermal paper they're printed on is full of BPA. Absorption via the skin is less common than ingestion. But it will remain in the body longer. If you work retail, it might be a good idea to wash your hands more frequently.